Remember when MTV actually played music videos? Well, just like MTV had to reinvent itself to stay relevant, your emergency fund strategy needs a complete makeover after 50. Because that 3 to 6 months of expenses rule everyone preaches, it's about as outdated as a Blockbuster membership card. And by the end of this video, you'll discover why the traditional emergency fund advice could leave you financially vulnerable when you need protection most. Plus the 3 critical adjustments that could be the difference between weathering a storm and getting swept away by it. Welcome to 50 Cents of Advice, where financial wisdom meets real life, one tip at a time. Today, we discuss something that could make or break your financial future after 50. Before we dive in, I need to tell you about something that happened to a friend, Dave, last year, that completely changed how I think about emergency funds. Dave thought he was prepared. He had his 6 months saved up, just like all the experts say. But when life hit him with a 1-2 punch that would make Rocky Balboa proud, his adequate emergency fund lasted about as long as new Coke on store shelves. I'll tell you exactly what happened to Dave and how it could happen to you in just a few minutes. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or should I say, the outdated advice that's been around since Dynasty was primetime television. Financial advisors have been singing the same tune for decades. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses for emergencies. It's like they're stuck in a time loop, playing the same advice on repeat like a broken 8-track player. But here's what they don't tell you when you're over 50. The rules of the game have completely changed. You're not 25 anymore working at your first job, where getting fired means moving back in with mom and dad until you find something new. At 50 plus, you're facing a whole different set of financial monsters, and your emergency fund needs to be built like a fortress, not a picket fence. And speaking of monsters, wait until you hear the statistics about how long it actually takes people over 50 to find new employment. It'll make your current emergency fund look like pocket change, but more on that shocking reality in just a moment. Picture this, you're 52, making good money, feeling secure. Then suddenly your company decides to restructure, which is, really just corporate speak for we're getting rid of expensive employees to boost quarterly profits. Sound familiar? It should, because honestly, it's happening more than a "Where's the Beef" commercial rerun these days. Here's the brutal truth that most financial advisors gloss over like a used car salesman avoiding mention of the transmission problems. If you're over 50 and lose your job, you're not just unemployed, you're in employment purgatory. While a 30-year-old might bounce back in a few months, the average job search for someone over 50 takes 18 to 24 months. That's not 3 to 6 months, that's nearly 2 years of expenses you need covered. But unemployment isn't the only financial boogeyman lurking in the shadows after 50. Health issues start popping up like mushrooms after rain, and even with insurance, those out-of-pocket costs can drain your savings faster than gas prices rising during a summer driving season. Remember when you thought a $20 copay was expensive? Those days are gone, my friend. And here's something that'll really get your attention. There's one type of emergency that's almost guaranteed to hit you after 50, and most people are completely unprepared for it. I'll reveal what it is, and how to protect yourself in just a few minutes. Now that I've probably got you checking your bank balance like you're watching the final episode of Dallas trying to figure out who shot JR, let's talk solutions. Your emergency fund after 50 needs 3 major upgrades, and honestly, they're all about as important as having a good antenna to get clear TV reception back in the day. Adjustment number 1. Size matters. Think bigger, much bigger. Forget 3 to 6 months. After 50, you need 12 to 18 months of expenses minimum. I know. That sounds like a lot of money, and you're probably thinking, where am I supposed to find that kind of cash? But think about it this way. Would you rather stretch your budget now to build a proper emergency fund, or stretch your retirement savings later to cover 2 years of unexpected expenses? Adjustment number 2, liquidity strategy. Not all money is created equal. Remember when you had to actually plan your TV watching around the programming schedule? Accessing your emergency money shouldn't require that kind of advanced planning. But here's where most people mess up. They put everything in a basic savings account, earning next to nothing. Or they go too far the other way, and put it all in investments that might take days or weeks to access. Your emergency fund needs to be like a well-organized toolbox with different tools for different jobs. Keep 3 months of expenses in an immediately accessible high-yield savings account. Put another 6 months in a slightly less liquid but higher earning money market or short-term CD ladder. The remaining portion can go into conservative investments that you can access within a week if needed. And here's where that friend Dave made his critical mistake, turning his 6-month emergency fund into a 3-week disaster. I'll tell you exactly what he did wrong so you don't repeat his costly error. The Dave story, a cautionary tale. Remember Dave from the beginning? Here's what happened that made his adequate emergency fund disappear faster than, well, fashionable members-only jackets. Dave was 54, working in middle management at a manufacturing company. He had his 6 months saved up and felt pretty good about his situation. Then the perfect storm hit, his company downsized, and 2 months later, his wife was diagnosed with a condition requiring expensive treatment not fully covered by their insurance. Suddenly, Dave wasn't just dealing with lost income, he was dealing with lost income and massive unexpected medical expenses. His 6-month emergency fund, gone in 10 weeks. The kicker? It took him 20 months to find comparable employment, during which time they had to drain retirement accounts, rack up credit card debt, and eventually sell their house. Dave's mistake wasn't just having too little saved, it was not accounting for the compound nature of emergencies after 50. When you're older, emergencies don't come one at a time like polite dinner guests. They show up all at once like uninvited relatives during the holidays. Can you say Cousin Eddie in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? Let's talk about that guaranteed emergency I mentioned earlier. After 50, your body starts sending you bills like a utility company. And honestly, some of those bills come with very large numbers attached. Traditional emergency fund advice completely ignores health-related expenses. They're not just medical bills, they're lost wages from time off work, travel expenses for specialized treatment, home modifications, extended care needs, and prescription costs that can rival a luxury car payment. The smart move? Create a separate health emergency fund equal to your maximum annual out-of-pocket insurance limits, plus an additional 50% buffer for related expenses. This sits alongside your regular emergency fund, not instead of it. But here's the strategy that most people completely overlook. It could save you thousands while actually making you money. I'll reveal this powerful approach right after we talk about market timing. If you're within 10 to 15 years of retirement, you're in what financial planners call the danger zone. Though, unlike the Top Gun movie, this danger zone isn't thrilling, it's actually kind of terrifying. This is where sequence of returns risk comes into play, and honestly, it's scarier than any horror movie from the 80s. Here's the deal. If you're forced to withdraw money from your retirement accounts during a market downturn just to cover emergency expenses, you end up locking in losses that your portfolio may never recover from. A market crash combined with emergency withdrawals can devastate your retirement plans faster than you can say, "Where's the beef?" This is exactly why your emergency fund strategy after age 50 needs to protect not just your current expenses, but also your future retirement security. Your emergency fund at this point becomes a firewall between temporary setbacks and permanent financial damage. Here's that powerful strategy most people miss, the emergency fund bond ladder. Instead of letting a large emergency fund just sit in low-yield savings accounts, you actually create a ladder of Treasury Y bonds and short-term CDs that mature at different times. I bonds protect against inflation. Remember when that wasn't a concern? And you can cash them penalty-free after 1 year. Short-term CDs offer higher yields than savings accounts while still keeping your money accessible. This approach, honestly, can boost your emergency fund returns by 2 to 4% annually, while maintaining the safety and accessibility you need. The key is timing the maturities so you always have funds becoming available, like having a steady stream of emergency money paychecks coming due every few months. Let's bring this all together like, the final scene of your favorite 80s movie where everything just clicks into place. Here's your post-50 emergency fund blueprint. Step 1. Calculate your true emergency fund need. 12 to 18 months of expenses, not the fairy tale 3 to 6 months you've been told. Step 2. Layer your emergency fund like you're dressing for unpredictable weather, immediate access, medium-term, and slightly longer-term money that earns better returns. Step 3. Create that separate health emergency fund I mentioned. Your body after 50 is like an aging car that honestly needs more frequent and expensive repairs. Step 4. Implement the bond ladder strategy to make your emergency fund work harder for you while staying safe and accessible. And Step 5. Review and adjust annually because financial planning after 50 is a lot like tuning a vintage car. It needs regular attention to keep running smoothly. If this video opened your eyes to gaps in your current emergency fund strategy, I've actually created something to help you implement everything we discussed today. It's called the Post-50 Emergency Fund Calculator and Action Plan, a free downloadable guide that includes worksheets to calculate your specific emergency fund needs, a bond ladder setup template, and a step-by-step checklist to rebuild your emergency fund the right way. You can grab it absolutely free using the link in the description below. And while you're there, hit the like button if this video gave you some valuable insights. It really helps other people discover these crucial strategies too. Also, please comment and let me know what your biggest concern is about emergency planning after 50. I read every comment and often turn your questions into future videos. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I'm constantly sharing practical financial wisdom that you won't hear from the mainstream financial media. They're still playing the greatest hits from 1985, but we're focused on strategies that work in today's reality. Building a proper emergency fund after 50 isn't about being pessimistic, it's about being realistic. As the old Boy Scout motto says, be prepared. Your future self will thank you for taking action today. This is 50 Cents of Advice, where financial wisdom meets real life. One tip at a time.